Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk to you about the nature of extrovert sensing in the INTP and INFP personality types. So I've kind of talked about this topic before, and I mentioned about how extrovert sensing is a very weak function in these two types. And that is technically true because according to the Model A model, I just used the word model twice. According to the Model A in socionics, extrovert sensing is a very weak function for the INTP and the INFP. But to give you a more accurate picture, it is fair to say that when INTPs and INFPs express extrovert sensing, it is out of proportion to society's expectations to how this function should be expressed. So say society thinks extrovert sensing should be generally expressed within this range, right? INFPs and INTPs often express it in a very kind of weak way, so much weaker than this expectation, but at the same time, much more strongly than the expectation too. So it's completely out of whack. Crazy, right? So often, extrovert sensing is kind of weak. So INFPs and INTPs can be very undisciplined kind of people. They're very undisciplined, very non-committal, right? So sometimes their introvert intuition could catch the significance of their life, and narrow down their life path, but they could be so non-committal to this. There's not enough extrovert sensing to discipline themselves in that direction, right? So in a way, INTPs and INFPs, they don't have a lot of life experience because they don't tough it out, right? They get their life experience in certain kind of ways, in more of a plotting way where they're kind of carefully figuring it out, but not they don't collect a lot of life experience. Let's see. So the thing is, I kind of want to touch upon how extrovert sensing is expressed strongly in these types. So actually, you could get a hint of this in the Myers-Briggs profiles of INTPs and INFPs. There's an element in those profiles where they talk about these two types as digging their heels, right? So if their value system or principles are violated in any way, they can really dig their heels. So typically, INTPs and INFPs have trouble pushing people around, right? They get pushed around more easily than the other types. But when it comes to when it comes to TI and it comes to FI, if these are violated, it's very hard for INTPs and INFPs to be knocked off of their positions, right? That's when they start to become firm, right? So that is how extrovert sensing is strong. So extrovert sensing is almost like territorial in a way. So it's like when you violate my values, you're they're kind of becoming territorial about it, and they become more aggressive and firm. And it's more like they don't step away from their principles and values, but sometimes it could lead to aggression as well. And if an INTP and INFP get pushed too much in this regards, their extrovert sensing goes berserk because it's out of proportion to society's expectations, and they bottle things up and then they get aggressive, right? So that's how it could manifest. So way it manifests, it's very extreme. So let's see. So as I mentioned, INFPs have a certain kind of martyrdom to them. So they could be very hard on themselves. So they take that, extrovert sensing is associated with aggression. They take that aggression and they turn it inwards, and they become aggressive towards themselves. So it's kind of healthier for INFPs to realize this tendency. This is how they use their extrovert sensing in a strong sense and not to be so hard on themselves. And INTPs have something similar. When it comes to their own logical rules, they could completely ignore their own feelings and follow their logical rules, right? And in sociology, they give an example. They call the INTP the Robespierre, and that's kind of a more extreme example, where so like Robespierre comes up with an ideal about how the world should be like, and people should fit into this ideal, and if you don't, then off with your heads. They lose their heads, and the guillotine comes crashing down and splitting their head off, right? So that is an example of how extrovert sensing could show in those types. So it kind of relates to introvert intuition. So the introvert intuition is so strong, it makes the extrovert sensing weak. So these types really could think about something, and then they start doubting it, and then they don't take enough like initiative in their life to make things happen over a long time. So it helps to use extrovert intuition. Extrovert intuition could help because it's intellectually curious and wants to try things out. But what's missing is that more physical, tangible component of building the life experience, right? So you could take the lead with extrovert intuition in order to build that life experience, coming from that more intellectual way. But extrovert intuition can also be kind of lazy because it's kind of unfocused, right? Whereas extrovert sensing is more like it's more disciplined. So that is so you could see how intuition's involved because so like Robespierre starts to develop a very specific ideal about the world, right? And that is where NI comes in and supports the SC. So the same thing with the INFP as well. You could these people can have a very specific vision about how the world should be, right? There's actually a little bit of extra intuition involved in that, I think. But anyway, that is my video on these two types and extrovert sensing.